I never thought a simple trip to the supermarket could unravel the fabric of my life. As I pushed my cart through the sterile aisles, my mind was on the seafood I planned to surprise Mark with, not on the man who would change everything. Derek's smile was like a beacon in the fluorescent maze, guiding me not just to the seafood, but into a whirlwind of emotions I wasn't prepared for. His touch was accidental, yet it felt like a spark igniting a fire I didn't know I had within me. Now, standing in the cold seafood section, with the ice chilling my fingers, I'm left wondering, can a moment of weakness change everything? Here I am, Sally, a 30-year-old married woman, navigating through the mundane aisles of my local supermarket. My life, much like this store, is predictable, orderly, and bathed in the sterile glow of fluorescent lights. I'm here for the usual suspects, vegetables, pasta, and today, a special treat of seafood to surprise my husband, Mark, with a dish that's anything but ordinary. As I push my cart, my mind is more on the dinner than on the task at hand. The seafood section, however, seems to be playing hide and seek with me. That's when I notice him, a tall black man with a smile that seems to know the secrets of this store's labyrinthine layout. His name, I would learn, is Derek. I approach him, my voice a mix of politeness and urgency. "Excuse me, could you help me find the seafood?" His smile broadens, and he points me in the right direction. Our brief interaction is innocent, but there's an undercurrent, a spark of something unspoken, something that feels a bit too warm for the cold, clinical environment of the supermarket. As I thank him and move towards the seafood, I can't help but feel a flutter, a slight deviation from my routine. It's just a small interaction, but it's enough to make me wonder, what could possibly go wrong in a simple trip to the supermarket? The seafood section, when I finally find it, is less about the fish and more about the thoughts swimming in my head. The cold, wet ice beneath the display does little to cool the warmth that Derek's smile left behind. I select the shrimp, my fingers brushing against the icy surface, a stark contrast to the heat that's now simmering within me. I approach Derek, who was examining some spices in the international foods aisle. "Excuse me, could you help me find the seafood section?" I asked, my voice a bit hesitant. Derek turned, his smile broadening, and he nodded, "Sure, follow me." As we walked, he shared that he worked part-time at the store, which explained his familiarity. We chatted about the weather, the crowded store, and how seafood was always the trickiest section to find. His easygoing nature made the walk less awkward, and I found myself laughing at his light-hearted comments about the store's layout. But then, something shifted. As we neared the seafood, Derek's hand brushed against mine, not by accident, but with a deliberate touch that sent a shiver up my spine. His voice dropped to a whisper, "You know, I could show you more than just where the seafood is." The air around us thickened with an unspoken promise, a suggestion that made my heart race. I pulled back slightly, my mind racing with the implications of his words. I should get back to my shopping," I stammered, the warmth in my cheeks betraying my attempt at composure. Derek's eyes held mine for a moment longer, a silent conversation passing between us, filled with possibilities that felt both thrilling and forbidden. He nodded, understanding, or perhaps just acknowledging the line we were teetering on. "Of course, Sally," he said, his voice returning to its friendly tone, but the undercurrent of something more lingered. "Let me know if you need anything else." As he walked away, I was left with a cocktail of emotions. Excitement, guilt overwhelmed me as Derek led me to the seafood aisle, where the smell of fresh fish and the sight of ice beds filled with various sea creatures greeted us. He pointed out the best catches of the day, his knowledge impressive. As we stood there, discussing the merits of salmon versus tilapia, something shifted. Derek's hand brushed mine as he reached for a lobster, and instead of pulling away, he held it. Our eyes met, and in that moment, the world around us seemed to blur. Without warning, Derek pulled me into an embrace, his lips meeting mine in a gentle, unexpected kiss. The kiss was soft, tentative at first, but it carried a weight, a promise of something more. I felt a rush, a surge of adrenaline mixed with confusion. Here I was, in the middle of a public place, with a man who wasn't my husband, engaging in an act that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. As quickly as it started, Derek pulled back, his eyes searching mine for a reaction. My breath was caught in my throat, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts. What had just happened? Was this a fleeting moment of madness, or was there something deeper stirring within me? "I'm sorry," Derek whispered, his voice low, almost drowned out by the hum of the supermarket's refrigeration units. "I shouldn't have done that." I could feel the heat in my cheeks, a mix of embarrassment and something else, something I couldn't quite name. It's okay," I managed to say, though my voice trembled slightly. We stood there, the air charged with tension, the normalcy of the supermarket around us starkly contrasting with the storm inside me. Derek's gaze was intense, filled with an apology and a question. "I should go," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, stepping back from him. The cold from the ice beds seemed to seep into my bones, chilling the warmth that had momentarily enveloped us. Derek nodded, his expression unreadable. "Yeah, of course. I'll be around if you need anything else." As I turned away, my heart was pounding, not just from the kiss, but from the realization of how close I had come to stepping over a line I never thought I'd cross. The kiss was brief but electric, sending a shock through my system. I should have pulled away, should have run, but instead, I found myself kissing him back. The seafood aisle, with its cold, damp air, became our clandestine hideaway. People around us began to notice, their eyes darting away, pretending not to see, but the whispers started. Derek's hands were on my waist, and the world outside our bubble seemed to fade. Can a moment of weakness change everything? The kiss deepened, and I felt a surge of something forbidden, something that felt like a betrayal, yet so intoxicating. Derek's touch was gentle, his lips warm against mine, and for a fleeting second, I forgot where I was, who I was, and the life I had built with Mark. The reality of the supermarket, with its fluorescent lights and the mundane chatter of shoppers, seemed to dissolve into a distant memory. But then, reality came crashing back. The sound of a cart being wheeled past us, the clink of bottles in the distance, and the sudden awareness of our very public display of affection. I pulled back, my heart racing, my mind a whirlwind of confusion and guilt. Derek's eyes were still locked on mine, a mix of desire and regret swirling in their depths. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that," he murmured, his voice barely audible over the hum of the store's refrigeration units. His hands fell from my waist, and the cold air of the seafood section seemed to rush in, filling the space between us. "It's not just you," I whispered, my voice trembling with the weight of my own actions. I kissed you back. This is on both of us." The tension was palpable, the air thick with the unspoken. I could see the conflict in Derek's eyes, the same turmoil that was tearing through me. We stood there, inches apart, yet worlds away from where we had been moments before. "I need to go," I said, my voice firm now, as if speaking the words could somehow erase what had just happened. "I need to think." Derek nodded, his gaze lingering on me as if trying to memorize every detail of this moment. "Yeah, I understand," he said, his voice heavy with the weight of what had just transpired between us. I turned away, my steps quickening as I made my way back to my cart, the cold seafood still in my hands, now feeling like a heavy burden. The kiss, the touch, the whispered promises, they all replayed in my mind, each memory more vivid than the last. As I walked, I could feel the eyes of the shoppers on me, their murmurs growing louder, their curiosity piqued by the scene they had just witnessed. My heart pounded in my chest, not just from the adrenaline of the kiss, but from the fear of what this could mean for my life with Mark. The security guards, alerted by the whispers and possibly the security cameras, approached with a stern demeanor. Their voices were low but firm as they asked us to leave. "We've had some complaints," one of them said, his face impassive. "You'll need to take this outside." Derek and I exchanged a look, a silent acknowledgement of the line we had crossed. He nodded at me, a gesture of understanding, and together, we were escorted out of the store. The automatic door slid open, and the cold air of the outside world hit us, a stark contrast to the warmth of our embrace. Once outside, I felt a mix of relief and dread. The supermarket's fluorescent lights were replaced by the dull gray of the overcast sky. Derek stood beside me, his hands in his pockets, his posture defeated. I'm sorry, Sally, he said again, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I looked at him, my emotions a tangled mess. It's not just you, Derek. I was there too. I wanted it too. My confession felt like a betrayal to Mark, to the vows we had made, yet it was the truth. We stood there, the reality of our actions settling in. The kiss, the touch, the forbidden thrill, it all seemed so distant now, overshadowed by the fear of what this could mean for my life with Mark. The cool air outside hit my flushed skin, bringing me back to reality. Derek and I exchanged no words, just a look of mutual shock and regret. I walked away, my heart pounding, my mind racing with what I had just done. I never told Mark about that day. The guilt gnawed at me, but the fear of losing what we had was greater. Every time I went to the supermarket, I avoided the seafood aisle, the memory too vivid. But life went on, and the secret remained buried, a silent testament to a moment of madness in the mundane. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. The kiss with Derek became a distant, almost dreamlike memory, yet it lingered in the back of my mind like a shadow. Mark and I continued our life together, the routine of our marriage unchanged on the surface. But beneath, something had shifted. I found myself more attentive to Mark, perhaps out of guilt, or maybe a subconscious need to reaffirm our bond. I cooked more elaborate meals, not just seafood, but all sorts of dishes, each one a silent apology, a way to reconnect with the man I had vowed to spend my life with. Mark noticed the change, commenting on how thoughtful I had become, how our dinners felt like special occasions. He didn't know why, and I couldn't tell him. The supermarket, once a place of routine, now held a different kind of tension for me. I would steer clear of the seafood section, my heart skipping a beat whenever I saw someone who even remotely resembled Derek. But as time passed, the fear of encountering him again lessened, replaced by a dull ache of regret. One evening, while Mark was at work, I found myself alone with my thoughts. The house was quiet, the only sound the ticking of the kitchen clock. I sat at the table, a glass of wine in hand, staring at the spot where I had planned to serve the seafood dish that never was. The weight of my secret felt heavier in the silence. I wondered if Derek ever thought of that moment, if he too carried the burden of what we had done. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.